This is Fred Beck from Fred Talks Fighting. Today, I'm very lucky to be joined by Fernando Vargas Jr. So thank you very much for coming on, Fernando. It's good to see you, mate.
Good to see you too, man.
So where are you joining me from now? Whereabouts are you?
I'm at a fitness gym right now. I'm meeting up with one of my coaches and a buddy of mine that I train with, and we're just gonna get a weekend workout. We're gonna hit some sprints. We're gonna probably hit some like ladder drills, footwork drills, some explosion drills. But I always gotta stay working, So we had to do something for the weekend.
Yeah, I understand. You're always gonna stay busy. And where in America are you based right now?
So I'm fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada. So I mean, I'm pretty sure, everybody knows where that's at. It's tourist capital, Vegas with the casinos, the bright lights, everybody fights here. And we moved out here like about 10, 11 years ago, and we love it.
Do you ever find Las Vegas a bit distracting ever, though? All the casinos and all the other stuff going on there?
I mean, look, it can be. You know what I mean? Like, look, I feel at the end of the day, if you want to find trouble, it's not too hard to look for. So I think if, you have a good team around you and, you're an athlete who's serious, it's not difficult, especially when you're in camp and you got to be gym home. It's the strip is in our backyard, but, it doesn't really entice me like that. Now after a fight, then that'll be different. But, it doesn't really do much to me.
Yeah, I can understand. As a boxer, you've always got to stay disciplined. And if we go back, I know you're turned professional now, undefeated. But if we do go back a few years to when you're an amateur, and I looked up online, but I couldn't find anything about your kind of amateur career. What can you tell us about it? Because I've always found that when the sons turn over, or when sons start boxing, sometimes they don't have the most amateur experience, like Conor Benn or Nigel Benn. He didn't have that much amateur experience, or Campbell Hatton turning over from Ricky Hatton. Well, how much amateur experience did you have?
Yeah, I was 37 and 3. And, it was just, I picked the sport up late. I started at like 16, 17, and I really didn't have a desire to fight. I didn't have a desire to box. That was just something that my dad did. But, I made it. I won the Golden Glove State for Nevada. I was a novice fighter. I had under 10 fights. I had like 6, 7 fights. And what open means is, so you'll fight a fighter. It doesn't matter what age they are, as long as they're the same weight. You can fight a dude that's 32 years old or however many fights that they have, as long as they're the same weight. So I won that state probably my second year fighting. It was my second year fighting. And, I don't really have too much of an amateur pedigree. A lot of people, even world champions that I'll be working with and sparring with, and like, hey, man, we didn't really even hear about the Vargas brothers until just the professional scene. You guys just made a splash, and we're like, oh shit, okay. But it's definitely a blessing, man, having a dad who could set up good sparring, who knows a lot of people, and that's where I got my experience. I think for me, because I didn't, start at 12 years old, I've always just been an athlete. I played basketball, I played football, and everything growing up, I've always had that competitive nature and drive. But with boxing, it's a little bit different. You don't just have to be athletic. You got to be a real fighter. So I knew that if I was going to do this, I would have to give it my all, and I would have to sacrifice, because I would see my dad. We'd have Christmases in January, February, because he'd be in camp for a fight. We'd have to miss birthdays and stuff like that. So, me and my brothers understood if we were going to do this thing, we'd have to really give it our all. And, I thank God for the opportunities that we do have, because who my father is, but I also understand that we got to work twice as hard. There's been a few juniors that haven't lived up to the name, and I understand that. The boxing world holds us as, they're not as dedicated. They're not as hungry as their dad was. They didn't go through no struggle. So, they feel, and they have a right to feel that, we're not as hungry. But I've just always been hungry, and I've always had the will to win. I don't care if it's chess, checkers, bro. I don't care if it's 2K, whatever it is, bro. I'm trying to win. So I've always had that competitive nature and always have that drive to win. And I have a responsibility to hold that legacy with pride.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you mentioned your dad, that obviously all great boxers had to sacrifice a lot of time with their family so they can definitely get the training in. And do you feel like, obviously, your dad being such a successful boxer, do you feel like you got something to prove?
You know what? Of course, man. I'd be lying if I said that it's not in the back of my head. When I fight, I know a lot of eyes are on me, and I know with every fight, it's gonna get harder. These opponents are not gonna be opponents no more. They're gonna be people on my level, and but I'm just taking it, one fight at a time. Once it's fight time, bro, honestly, I don't even think about whose son I am or what I gotta do or pressure. Everybody says, "Oh, there's pressure," and there is. Don't get me wrong, but once you're already in fight mode, you're not thinking about whose son you are. You're not thinking about any of that. You're just thinking about executing the game plan, getting the victory by any means necessary, and looking phenomenal. So, I do think about it. It does. I'm losing right now though because my dad was already an Olympian. My dad was already world champion, and I feel we're different though. We have our own story. Even me and my brothers, we have our own story, and we're each different. We're all alike. Yes, we're always training together. If my brother's hitting, 6, 7, 8 rounds in the bag, I'm hitting 10 because I'm the oldest. I gotta show them, and I gotta take the lead. If they're throwing a 3-4 punch combination, I'm throwing 6, 7, and they'll throw a 10. So it's like, bro, it's a beautiful thing when you're doing this sport that's so lonely. With brothers, man, that understand. Like there's sometimes where my brothers are not in camp, but I'm in camp, but they'll put plastics on with me and cut weight and do eat right, and it's awesome to have a support system the way I do.
Oh wow, that's really nice then, because boxing is a very lonely sport. Obviously, you got Armando and then Vargas. What's that kind of been like having your brothers there all the time? Because they box as well. They're success amateurs. I believe one's turned over into professional ranks as well.
Yeah, it's definitely it's something to be proud of. Me as the oldest brother, it's crazy, bro. I get more nervous when they fight than when I fight, and it's a trippy thing because anybody who has relatives that fight, they understand. If you're at amateur tournaments or you go to nationals, the siblings want to fight more than the actual fighters. So because I'm like, I'm good, I'll take care of myself. But my brothers, if they get hit a little too much, I'm like, man. So I kind of know how my dad feels, and my dad tries to feel, tries to give us like, a sense of at ease, like, oh, everything's gonna be fine. But I know he's a little nervous. Who wouldn't be? He's our dad. So, it's a lot of emotion involved in the sport, but because we understand how much we gotta put out. But I wouldn't trade it for the world, bro. I love it. I love doing this with my brother. I love, training every day. I love the cutting weight. I love every part of this sport, the good, the bad, the ugly. And it's a beautiful thing.
Well, it's a good story there. Are you sure you love cutting weight? Is that a thing you do love though?
Not all the time. You know what I mean? I'm Mexican, so I love me some tacos. I love me burritos. I love me food. But but that's why when we could eat, we could eat. And when it's time to cut, it's time to cut. But I enjoy it. I honestly enjoy it. When it's time to cut, it's like it's another mode, it's another gear. So, I love this sport. Us growing up, we're able to eat off of this sport, and we have a future from this sport. So, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Of course. Just speaking of eating, then after you finish your fight, obviously cut all that weight. What do you eat straight after your fight? What's your meal?
You know what? It's crazy. I torture myself, bro. Like before I'm cutting, and I know it's not like the best thing to do, but I'll be looking at food channels. I'll be looking at everything that I'm gonna eat after I fight. My dad doesn't let us pig out as soon as we're done weighing in because you still got to perform. So, if you're feeding yourself all that good food and then you just boom, eat all this sugar and just eat all this bad food, you still got to perform. So you're gonna spike up your insulin levels. You're gonna be tired to fight. So we don't eat actually bad until after we're done fighting, but we do have a big nice meal at a breakfast spot. It just depends what I'm craving in camp, honestly, but we definitely carb up.
Yeah, I'm sure it must be really nice to eat straight after having to cut all that weight. I've only got a few more questions left, and I know we're very busy, but just going back to the sparring then, obviously sparring plays a massive key factor. Obviously, that's how Conor Ben got so good at that, because he had less amateur fights to see, but the sparring he's had of Ted Cheeseman, Felix Cash definitely has helped him. Have you been sparring Javante Davis, Ross Stevenson? What's that kind of been like?
So that was my younger brothers.
Oh, was it? Okay.
But yeah, it's okay. But I'm a little heavier. I'm like 160. So I've sparred, Sean Porter. I sparred Gabriel Rosado. I've sparred Kel Brook. Shout out to Kel Brook. That's my guy. Castaño. I've sparred a lot of good champions that have given me experience, that have given me that have elevate my game, and it's like that's where you get the best work. You could have a lot of amateur fights, yes, or people that you could work with, but you get the experience in the sparring. So if you're sparring top level sparring, that's how you learn. That's how you get better. So, I sparred, your Dennis Ugas, one of the top 47-pounder. The list goes on and on. It's just like, it's definitely a blessing to be in there with them and mixing it up with them. But it's definitely a confidence booster when you're able to mix it up with them and be like, hey, you know what? I can mix it up with them. I'm not so far from them. And you definitely learn a lot getting in there with them. And, it humbles you as well, because you think you're coming up, but at the end of the day, they're world champion for a reason. So it helps you a lot. It gets you in that mode that you got to grind, that you got to continue to get better. You got to get better every day. And what I learned, honestly, with those world champions is they just have a will to stay on top. And I think that's the hardest. I don't know if you're seeing Sean Porter's training, but he's training in the mountains right now, hitting mid-work and, doing crazy workouts because he's going to fight Terrence. And, those are things you got to do. If you're going to compete at the highest level, you got to sacrifice. You got to put your body through hell so that when you get knocked down, or when you got to push, when you got to, push that extra, 10, 20, 30 seconds, you're able to do that. So, I'm just excited. I'm excited for the future. And I'm excited for what the boxing world is going to see with me and my brothers. We're excited.
Yeah, certainly. As they always say, it's the hardest thing is being able to stay on top. You mentioned Shaw Porter there, where he's got his fight coming with Terence Crawford, and Gabriel Rosado, who's been on the channel before. He's got his fight tonight, actually, in the early.
Right.
I'm luckily it's on the zone, so I can wake up and watch it, and it won't ruin it, the thumbnail or anything.
Yeah, because you over there, you're on another side of the world, bro. I appreciate the support, and we had to get each other at the right time. But yeah, shout out to my boy Gabe Rosado. Look, I know I'm Mexican, but my dad used to train Gabe Rosado, and he's Puerto Rican, and the best rivalries are Mexican and Puerto Rico. Shout out to my guy. I hope he pulls it through, man. He's just coming off that fight with Beck, and that was a big knockout, bro. Caught him, and Beck was knocking everybody out. So look, this is sport of boxing. Anything can happen, and I'm pulling for my guy Rosado.
Yeah, I mean, when you match up two different styles, well, they kind of got the same styles. It's going to be, I think, an absolute war. Just one more point. You're in the new Esports Boxing Club game. How'd that come come around?
Man, that right there, it was a big blessing. My manager actually put that together. He's the one actually that made that game. He's one of the founders of that. So, shout out to Jose De La Cruz. Jose De La Cruz manages Jorge Linares. And he's the one that put me and my brothers and my dad in that game. So, and we get paid. We get paid if you download us as a character and you fight with us. So when that game comes out, make sure you guys download me. Make sure you download my brothers, my dad. But it's a blessing. It's definitely a blessing because a lot of great champions, former world champions, current world champions are going to be in this game. It's going to be a big splash. And I'm excited.
Yeah, certainly. I didn't know about the kind of downloading fighters. I've spoken a lot about Todd Grisham about it and Ryan Rhodes, who kind of both work on the game. Do you have any idea when it might be released?
I don't know. I believe sometime next year. So I don't want to put a date out and not know exactly, but it should be sometime next year. And the closer we are to having that game released, we will post about it, and you guys will stay tuned.
Who's going to be the first fighter you play as then? Obviously, you'll play as yourself, and who will you be against? Because you can pick any. Apparently, according, you can do flyweights versus heavyweights. You can do any weight class, apparently.
I want to be Tyson Fury. There's only one Tyson Fury. I was actually running with him. He comes out here today.
In the mountains. In the mountains, I was going to say.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. Look, a lot of people wrote Tyson Fury off, and he went through all that depression and went through the massive weight gain. And that just shows you what kind of champion he is, man. It shows you the will that you have right here. Your mind is so strong. Your body could tell you, I can't no more. I can't. but your mind is like, nah, let's go. We got to keep going. And I appreciate Tyson Fury because even when I was running with him, he was giving me some good insights, was kicking down knowledge that, I was just quiet the whole time. I was just like, all right, I'm going to listen. This is a lineal, champion of the world, So, I definitely learned a lot of things with Tyson, and he's a good Christian man. And, he had a great fight with Deontay. That was probably one of the greatest fights, let alone heavyweight fights that we've had in a long time, man. So it definitely did a lot to the sport of boxing, and to the people there, to the fans that were there. They were real lucky, man, because they experienced a great fight, man.
Yeah, it certainly did live up to the hype. And obviously, you went to Esports Boxing Club. Since you're in the game, do you get a free copy of the game then?
I do. I do. It's cool, but I'm trying to see who's gonna download us though and play with us. That's the thing. I'll get a free game or two, but it's gonna be a good game, man. It's gonna be a good game. I'm excited for all these world champions and how the graphics are gonna be, and we'll see how it goes.
I mean, when they showed someone put on their Twitter, I think it was a guy called Michael Benson, showed the EA Sports UFC Tyson Fury and then the Esports Boxing Club Tyson Fury, and the Esports Boxing Club Tyson Fury look way more realistic. But thanks so much for your time today, mate. It's great talking to you. So where can people find you on social media and like Instagram, Twitter? And you got anything else coming up you want to shout out?
Yeah, for sure. You can follow me at Fernando Vargas _Jr. Twitter, I'm not so big on. I gotta get big on Twitter. Facebook, Fernando Vargas Jr. And I should be finding before the year ends, December something. If not, then beginning of next year. But I want to thank everyone for the support. Thank you, my brother, for the interview, and to my UK fans, to my UK people. We appreciate the support, man. We love UK. You guys are great boxing fans. It feels like we're in a soccer arena whenever I see UK fans and Ricky Hatton and all these great legendary champions that you guys have had, man. We're grateful that you guys accept, myself and my family, as one of your own. So we appreciate the support and thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the interview. One day you need to come fight over here in the UK then.
I gotta do it. Where's the place to fight at? Manchester? Where is it?
London, the O2 Arena. That's 22,000, I think.
Okay, man, that's a lot of people. So, man, we appreciate it though. It'll be a dream of mine to go fight over there, man, and go visit your guys' culture. But thank you so much, and I appreciate it.
You too, man. I'm sure we'll catch up soon then in the next few months. Thanks so much for your time.